Now I'd like to talk about using the audio mixer to do a little bit of these audio levels. For that, Window, Workspace, Audio. This is going to change the workspace and is going to give you the audio mixer right here, very prominently. It's going to show you whatever tracks of audio you have are going to be represented in here, audio 1, audio 2, and the names will agree with those names that you have in the timeline. Well, all you have to do is play,
well as all of our other amenities including swimming, walking, parasailing, pirate ships,
and those volumes are going to be changed in here. If you play this back,
and getaway at Rancho Playa, where you can enjoy a pristine beach,
you have lowered that volume, or raised it, or depending on what you want to do, lowered it or raise it. You can do both channels, audio 1 and audio 2. You could do the master, although that's not very recommended. It is recommended that you leave the master alone. But what I'm trying to say is that you can change the properties of the volume of this clip directly here in the audio mixer. You can also pan it. You can pan it left and right. And you can even add effects. If you expand this, and you can expand it by clicking on this little triangle here, you can add any of the effects that you could add directly to the clip. You can add them now to the track in here. You can also create submixes. One of the most important features in the audio mixer is that you can have automation. Notice that there is a drop-down menu here which by default is going to say Read. If you change Read to Write, notice what happens. I'm going to go ahead and play this clip in the timeline.
come enjoy a weekend getaway at Rancho Playa, where you can enjoy our pristine beaches, as well as all of our other amenities including swimming, walking, parasailing, pirate ships, and our world-renowned cattle ranch and motorsports complex. Get into...
And that's enough. As it played, notice that I was raising and lowering the volume. Well, because I was set to write, notice that it changed to touch. Because I changed to write, this turned into keyframes in here. One of the things is that we can't see those keyframes. Well, it's important to understand that when dealing with the audio mixer, we are not affecting the clip. What we are affecting is the track. And that's different, because if we move the clip and we have keyframes on the clip, those keyframes move with it, even if we change tracks. But if the keyframes belong to the track, then that means that whatever audio you put in there will get the same keyframes that were existing there in the track. So how do we see the track keyframes? That's very easy. By clicking on this little icon here, we can choose to show track keyframes, and as you can see, lots of keyframes were formed when I raised and lowered the volume of audio track 1 while it was playing. Again, the only reason why this happened, it was because I was set to write in here. The default setting of write is to change to touch once we finish recording. So what is touch? Well, touch is very important, because that means that if I change the volume of the audio and then stop changing it, release the mouse, then the audio itself is going to go back to what it was in a certain amount of time. The certain amount of time is determined by the auto match time in the preferences settings. So Premiere Pro, Preferences, Audio. In Windows is Edit, Preferences, Audio. Go to the auto match time, and just to prove a point, I'm going to change this to 2 seconds. And I'll click OK. Now I'm going to delete all these keyframes, and I can do that with the pen tool. I'll select all of them, and then just press the delete key. I have some rogue ones. Let me delete those as well. And now I'll just raise this volume to what it was, somewhere around 0. Thereabouts, it doesn't have to be exact. But this time my setting is to touch, not to write.
Come enjoy a weekend getaway at Rancho Playa.
Now I will release.
As well as all of our other amenities including swimming, walking, parasailing, pirate ships.
I'll release again.
Sports complex. Get in touch with nature. We have cattle.
And I can stop. Let me just show you the keyframes now. And I want you to notice that it actually is taking 2 seconds to go from this keyframe here to this keyframe here, which is what it was before the change. That's what touch does. It actually goes back to the value in which it was before you started recording like that, and it does so in the amount of time that you set in the auto match time. Latch, on the other hand, doesn't do that at all. What Latch does is that if you stop recording, if you release the mouse button, the value latches to that last value and it won't change it. So let me go ahead and try that. I'll undo these keyframes. I'll delete them. Oh, there you go. Let me redo. Shift Command C or Shift Control C is a redo. And now let's start recording again, this time at Latch.
Come enjoy a weekend getaway at Rancho Playa, where you can enjoy our pristine beaches,
and I'll let it go
as
there.
well as all of our other amenities including swimming, walking, parasailing.
And now I'll let it go there. And as you can see, it's still playing and it stays at totally minus infinite, which of course is silence. It just latches to that last value. Let me stop recording and look at the keyframes. Of course, the other settings here are read, which of course just reads those keyframes, and off. You can turn this off. Obviously, you can do all of these channels. You could do them at the same time, but it's not recommended. I recommend that you do channel or track 1, then track 2, then track 3, and if you need to fix them, all of these keyframes individually speaking, you can do so with a pen tool. You can delete them, and you can also adjust them with a regular selection tool. So the automation settings with the audio mixer can be very helpful, but it's going to take a little bit for it to work the way that you want, meaning you have to practice with it a tiny little bit before you become really comfortable with it.